That landmark decision from the Supreme Court
bans discrimination by employers
based on sexual orientation or gender identity.
Confused about how you'll take classes at MC this fall? Learn how MC faculty are preparing to set you up for success.
Hello and welcome to Outlook Montgomery. Recently, the United States Supreme Court released a landmark decision on LGBTQ+ rights. The court's decision will have wide-ranging ramifications not only for employers and employees, but potentially for educators and students as well. In the case of Bostick v. Clayton County, Georgia, the Supreme Court ruled that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a federal civil rights law that prohibits discrimination, quote, because of sex, also includes protections for gay and transgender workers. This watershed ruling for LGBTQ+ rights was written by one of the court's most conservative justices, Neil Gorsuch, who wrote, "An employer who fires an individual merely for being gay or transgender defies the law." Here with me to discuss this ruling and its ramifications are Sharon Bland, Montgomery College's Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer, Khalif Morse, an adjunct professor of English at Montgomery College, Audra Jacobs, a Montgomery College alum, and Jordan Rodriguez, a current Montgomery College student. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, I want to ask Khalif, Audra, and Jordan, what were your initial reactions once you heard the decision? I guess I'll start with you, Khalif.
I think it's a long time overdue. I think it's a wonderful thing, but there's still more work to do. Bias is real.
That is most certain, sure. How about you, Audra?
I think my initial reaction to it was one of incredible joy. Like, this is something, like Khalif said, that has been long overdue. I still definitely feel a little bit of frustration with the way it was handled and the future it kind of predicts.
That makes sense too. And Jordan, how about you?
Yes, all the above of what was just said. I think it's a lovely first step in the right direction towards what the community absolutely needs to take place as far as federal law is concerned. Hopefully we can get some more steps in there.
So have any of you ever been discriminated against in the workplace because of your sexual orientation? And, you know, how would this decision empower you in your future workplaces? Audra, you have something to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a queer individual of color, absolutely I've experienced some relatively heavy discrimination in almost every workplace I've been in. And I think this decision is opening the door for us to change the language a little bit and place responsibility on the people who are harming us, who are discriminating against us, instead of blaming us for who we are. So you're discriminating against me not because I'm queer, but because you are homophobic. So I think that decision helps elevate that language and change our societal views in that way.
Excellent answer there. So Sharon, as the equity and inclusion practitioner for one of the larger employers in Montgomery County, what's your opinion and the college's reaction to this ruling?
Well, I mean, it's a historic move, and I've been working in this space for 20 years. I started before I even came to the college as a civil rights attorney and practicing in affirmative action and equal employment. And so for us at the college, it gives us greater tools to implement the affirmative action plans that we'd like to advance and equal opportunity plans that we'd like to advance without the legal ramifications of other people saying that, you know, we somehow reverse discriminated.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit here. Because the Supreme Court opinion clarifies that LGBTQ rights in the workplace by virtue of Title VII, It also has impacts on education via Title IX of the Civil Rights Act. That section of the legislation prohibits discrimination in educational institutions. So let's look at some of the potential issues that educators might see in the wake of the Bostock decision.
Now, why is this important in education? For one thing, school districts and colleges are pretty big employers, so they face the same workplace and employment issues that other organizations deal with on a regular basis. Reading Title VII to embrace coverage of LGBTQ workers would help create quote, a powerful and effective workforce and would ultimately help students. The other way these cases are potentially important for education is that many courts have analyzed Title VII similar to Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. And under Title IX, in recent years, we've seen a lot of questions about the rights of transgender students, and whether they can use restrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity, and whether they can participate in athletics on that same basis. Justice Alito's opinion discusses education quite a bit. On bathrooms and locker rooms, something that's come up in schools, Justice Alito says transgender students will be able to raise claims under Title IX that they should be able to use facilities consistent with their gender identity. Now, he has concerns about that, and he talks about some of the school cases that are out there. Some of these education-related issues that Justice Alito identified, we may see the Supreme Court's decision applied by the lower courts very soon, because there are several pending cases where that could happen.
The beginning of previous fall semesters at MC had its campuses busy with lots of people. The pandemic has changed things up, and now students and faculty will be meeting each other through computer screens. If you were an MC student last spring, you experienced some of the transition and probably know what to expect. But if this is your first semester at MC, you might be wondering where to begin.
I think the thing that the students who are new to the college need to understand first is to start with Raptor Central. Raptor Central is the opening door to the college. It is where students come to get all the information that they need. It is our virtual welcome center. And when students are admitted to the college, they receive a letter that tells them all of the steps that they need to take in order to get tested, placed, enrolled in classes. Students who are new to Montgomery College usually need to have some kind of placement testing before they can enroll. They can go to the assessment center online, and all of the placement testing is available on that site. There are 3 different ways that classes are being offered. They're being offered as distance learning, which is independent. They're being offered as remote learning, which is basically replicating the classroom experience, but online at a particular time and a particular day. And then there's the hybrid option, which has students come to campus on occasional days, career-based classes where they use specialized equipment like automotive technology or biotechnology or nursing. Students in those hybrid classes are going to be contacted by their instructor with their particular appointments to come onto campus and to work on the different equipment.
MC professors are getting ready for the semester, and they're structuring their courses so that their students can be comfortable.
I'll primarily be using Zoom for my class sessions. That's what we use in the spring, so I feel like most students are comfortable with it, so we'll just continue with the same format. So since I teach literature and journalism and writing, I think for me, what will be key is making sure that the students are engaged for the whole class period. I do have some group projects in my classes, and I will continue to do those projects. Through Zoom, we can do breakout sessions. I can easily hop into each of those breakout rooms so that I can offer guidance to them as well.
Now, for those courses that normally involve labs and handling equipment, some creative workarounds are in place.
We are using a variety of virtual technology in our laboratory courses to replicate the hands-on experience that students typically receive. Many of our online labs are using simulation-based activities and virtual reality lab programs that allow students to handle chemicals, work with common lab equipment, and even design and perform their own experiments in a virtual setting. We have also integrated some fundamental kitchen chemistry activities that can be completed at home. Students will also have the opportunity to engage in capstone laboratory projects and participate in active and ongoing citizen science projects. Most students coming back to MC will at least be familiar with Blackboard. My course Blackboard site serves as a central location where students can go to communicate with each other and with me, to access course resources, to find additional services such as tutoring centers and writing centers, as well as to engage with supplemental material such as video tutorials to help them better master those course concepts.
I'll be using Blackboard to give my quizzes. That's what I usually do in my online classes, and that works really well because they're automated. But for the larger assignments, since I teach English and literature, it's mainly writing, so they will continue to submit their work through Blackboard. I'll be holding office hours virtually. I did that in the spring when we shifted to remote, and the students were able to look at my calendar and choose a slot. I will definitely reach out to my students beforehand just to give them some information about how the class will work, how to access Blackboard, how to access the Zoom link. That way everyone feels comfortable and not confused on that first day of class and will know how to access all the materials.
After the students have set up their MyMC account and registered for classes, they'll need to go where it says Pay My Bill/Manage Account and pay their amount, otherwise they could be locked out of their courses. It's important to know there is no auto-pay system. Every student needs to do this every semester. Again, Raptor Central is a great resource to find answers to common questions.
The most important thing for students, whether they are returning students or they are brand new students, is to ask questions, look for help. Use the Raptor Central website and the email addresses to ask questions. Check your Montgomery College email because that's the way that your faculty member will communicate with you. Make sure that you have the Montgomery College email address and that you contact your instructor when you're ready to start the class. There's a whole army of people out there waiting to help students succeed, and you just need to ask for the help.